Trends. Mountain biking is full of them. From the neon clothing from the early days to the motocross kit for downhillers in the late 90s. Some have been great, others have been less so.
Yeah, and for every couple of hits, perhaps there's been one or two misses. We're lucky enough here at GMBN to have a whole community that's grown around our shows, and we often hear some really interesting thoughts and feelings in the comments. So we're here to explore some of those ideas, some of the trends that perhaps shouldn't be sticking around.
Bikes that look the same. Now, what do you think to this one, Henry? I mean, I'm not sure I completely agree with this one. We do hear it all the time. It looks like a Trek Session. Probably seen that in the Pink Bike comments.
Well, it's a funny one, isn't it? Because I think you can't have it both ways. Either you say, it's all bikes look the same, and you stick with that. But then when somebody does something different, a la Polygon, for instance, and Marin, that's a very different looking bike.
Yes.
And people also
kill it with fire.
Kill it with fire. And I think it's unfair. Either we say, wow, it's really cool that people are exploring new ideas, or we can't divide them for both.
It's difficult. You look, I mean, it's a different thing, but you look to motocross bikes, they all look the same. They've all got a linkage underneath.
Never thought about that. They all look the same.
Same
they
thing.
Do. Yeah.
It's just got a different colour.
Yes, totally. I mean, I can understand perhaps the frustration when things are modified for perhaps quite arbitrary things.
Yeah.
You know, just to basically sleek it out, and there isn't any real development there. That, I think, is a reasonable complaint. But for saying all bikes look like a session, when actually when a bike doesn't look like a session, everyone complains it doesn't look like a session. I mean, it goes round and round.
I quite like the way you look at the range of, let's say, Scots. They all make sense. I mean, maybe it's too simplistic. But you look at the downhill bike, you look at the Spark, they're the same sort of shape.
Yes,
and you go, oh, that's for that, that's for that. They all work for different reasons, but they kind of look the same.
Yeah. What do you guys think? What is a bike that doesn't look like a session, but looks bloody fantastic? Let us know in the comments.
Superlong bikes? Question mark. Is this one that sucks?
Well, I think I've probably, like many people, got to eat some humble pie.
Yes.
I was skeptical.
Me too.
I was like, actually, you know, I had my numbers in my head, which I thought were about right. However, I think I'm changing. I'm changing as a person, you know?
I definitely think mountain bikers can be guilty of that. Jump to conclusions saying, nope, you've changed it, I don't like it. Superlong bikes is one of those, and they look different. They definitely, that people go quite far with this. Look at Nikolai pole bikes, they are super long.
Yeah.
But I definitely think I've matured and said, oh no, actually I quite like it. Whereas a couple of years ago, I said, no way, this is a trend that sucks.
It sounds like it's been quite a personal journey. You really sound like a better man now.
But this is probably a common one from our commentators, from people you read online saying Superlong bikes, don't like them.
But I think a good thing, in a way, sometimes the conversation about really long reach numbers, which is the measurement from your centre of your bottom bracket axle to your head tube. And people always say, that's a really long reach. And I think sometimes it has been engineered sort of the way you think about it, because it enables to have a really steep seat tube without losing all the length in the top tube, which means that suddenly it changes how a bike rides, just in terms of uphills. Now, I can personally attest to me being really skeptical about this, but it has made my body feel so much more comfortable going uphill. And if my body doesn't hurt, I think that's a good thing.
The biggest bike I own and I've ever ridden is my Nukeproof Descent.
Oh, yes.
465mm reach on the large size. So to me, it looks massive. Jumped on it, think, wow, it's got a 63-degree head angle. The front wheel's over there, but it's balanced by the rear wheel along a chainstay as well. So it feels perfect. Compare that to my old downhill bike, my Specialized Kenevo, reach of 440. It's a much longer bike.
Yeah, I mean, sticking with Specialized, for instance, their last generation of the demo, just off the top of my head, I think the large was a 440 and the XL was a 460.
Yeah.
So to think it would have been crazy if a couple of years ago you'd gone for an XL demo. Times have changed though, and I suppose what you said there really does speak truth. It is not only about how roomy it feels, but the leverage being actuated upon the bike.
So we're kicking this one out. This is not a trend that sucks. We both like this one.
Yeah, viva the long top tubes.
Henry, what about oil slick?
This is going to be a short cut and shut. Nuh-uh. Not on my watch, cowboy. Not in this town. What do you reckon?
Well, I mean, I got on board with the old SRAM drivetrains. I was like, I can deal with that. I like that. It's kind of petrol-coloured oil slick, as you call it. Well, I can go with that.
Yeah, I mean,
Where does it stop, Henry?
the saturation point is very low. You as soon as you see it once, you're close to breaching it. And do you know what annoys me? It's not the way it looks.
Yeah.
It's it kind of, it's going to sound quite a big point, but as a consumer, it's kind of a bit patronising, someone going like, you'll like it because it's got oil slick. Have you changed anything? No, but it's new for this year because it's got oil slick. And everyone at Eurobike. Yeah,
this is a very UK-based reference here, but Max Power, it's a car tuning magazine from the 90s. A lot of people back in the 90s would like spray their cars. It was like this weird purpley green that would change colour when you walked around it. And there's a VW Passat driving around Bath that looks like that. It looks terrible.
Well, do you know what? I think oil slick, the way it's going to be looked back in a few years, speaking of VWs, can you remember that Polo with every panel was a different colour?
Yeah,
Harlequin. I think it's more like that. Under the bus. Now, I get in a bit of heat for this because I will jokingly say that all bikes are in fact gravel bikes, which there is an element of truth to it.
I mean, this one, it's easy to sort of pick on the roadies a little bit when you're like, gravel bikes, yes. I mean, that's what we've been doing on cross-country bikes for years. That's silly. What are you doing? You've invented this new thing. But actually, I'm sort of in the market for a new gravel bike because I don't ride a road bike very much. And actually, I kind of feel like I could take it off on the green lanes, on the gravel, bit of road. I'd ride that.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. I think the thing that perhaps irritates people is the fact that, say big company comes out with new gravel bike in it, the silhouette isn't totally dissimilar to that of an original mountain bike from 1990.
True.
Do you know what I mean? It's a bit just a Tomac-esque.
I can kind of get on board with the idea this trend sucks because I don't really like the thing being marketed as something. But the actual thing, I don't think does suck.
No, I agree. I think that's the crux of it there. Yeah. Exactly. Now here's a funny one, and it's kind of changing with time. Endurifying your bike. I remember a couple of years ago and people were literally strapping bananas to their top tubes.
I remember seeing squash bananas on top tubes.
Yeah, it was out of control. Seems to have simmered down though a bit.
Well, now you can buy a strap to strap your bananas, probably your down tube in fact now.
I think we're in dangerous territory of an innuendo here.
I do it liberally. Mainly on my cross-country bike where I don't want to wear a massive backpack. Yeah. I actually put my pump, my tube, a tool.
Yeah.
It's quite a lot.
To be honest, I've gone quite far in the past, stopping short of only strapping a whole spare bike, frame for frame, to the top tube. But I really like it, and I used to use electrical tape and things like that.
Round your seat, ever done that? On your cross-country bikes, tube, stuff between your rails, and you don't feel the tape.
But I guess it always used to normally like sounds stupid, and it's only a small amount of waste, and I'm sure I'm guilty in a lot more heinous ways of creating unnecessary waste. But having a reusable strap feels kind of good to me, even though they're easy to poke fun at the trailhead. Yeah. I think actually it's a trend that is, I think it's okay.
Well, I think it's different levels. You see some e-bikers that have gone through the catalogue and they've picked out every single accessory that can go on the bike. And there's like 4 mud guards, there's a saddlebag. I mean, it depends how far you go with this. There is certainly a level of practicality versus pig ugly, what you're doing to your bike-ness.
Yes, and also, I mean, mudguard politics. I think we could do a whole different show on that. But when they first came around, people were like, what are you doing with that marsh guard thing or that Defender? And now I ride with it 365, baby. All the time. Speaking of running light, endurifying your rig, there's one item in particular that really grinds people's gears.
Yeah.
The bum bag.
The Fanny Pack.
The Fanny Pack.
I'm a massive fan of the Fanny Pack.
I actually run sort of like, I suppose it'd be like a Fanny Pack light. It's quite a svelte little number that sits. I could be wearing it right now. You wouldn't even know.
Front or back?
I mean, can you run it on the front? I'm not a kangaroo. Like, it's out back.
I mean, we're throwing this trend that sucks out the window. I am, at least, because I love my bum bag.
I used to routinely break at least one phone a year.
Although,
and now I don't, because they're safe out the way. They're not in my pockets.
You know how some people, they sell their riding shoes that you'd wear to the pub. Would you ever take your bum bag to the pub?
I mean, a bottle of vodka in maybe. Cheap night for the sounds of it. No, I think, although I would say this as well, I was somebody that, been a fanny packer for a few years now. And, that comes with all the bad stuff. Yeah. And you know what really cheesed me off? My missus got a bum bag, which she wore unironically, and she was held as a style icon.
Whoa.
Like,
Round the shoulder, over the shoulder.
No,
like
she
that.
just round here. And I was like, you are yoking me. How is that fair? And she's got easy stees and I've got none of that. But even so, it's annoying. But yeah, Fanny Packs. Bastards.
Doping in enduro, this is definitely a trend that sucks. And it's a touchy subject, but this has not been a good year for it.
No, it hasn't. It all seems to have kind of hit the fan, so to speak, at the same time.
I mean, there's two different sort of cases we're talking here. There is the Jared Graves and the Richie Rude case. They both missed races this year. In fact, Jared hasn't raced, mainly down to illness. And then there is the Martin Mays case of him getting caught for what seems like something that he shouldn't have got banned for, but he didn't have a TUE. Basically, he didn't have a doctor's note for something he took because he thought he was getting an infection on a massive cut. That came back to bite him in the ass, and he lost lots of points and lost the chance to win the Enduro World Series because of this.
I mean, not to be... I've probably got a different view to many people. I mean, doping does suck. But I think, having grown up watching road cycling and, and still being a big fan of the sport, it did make me a bit uncomfortable how many fans, like myself, uneducated as we were, did the explaining for the athletes. They didn't do it because of this. And it's like, well, we have these rules for a reason. It is sadly the growing pains of a professional sport that someone's going to make these mistakes, and that really isn't good. And I feel really sorry for them.
It doesn't feel like we've had the whole story with some of these, and it's very easy for people like us and for people that get the news at home to jump to conclusions, which is unfair as well. But I would definitely put this on the trends that suck.
Trends that suck, big time.
Another trend that we saw a bit of in 2019 is weather-affected races. Actually, races and events having to be cancelled because of freak weather.
Yeah, so frustrating. I mean, not just for us as people participating or spectating, but for the event organisers, it must be absolutely heartbreaking.
Global warming, whatever it is. We saw a lot of crazy weather in the UK. Big events like Hard Rock and the Malverns Classic, a big festival, both were basically washed away. Real shame to see them go.
There was a real risk of forest fires in New Zealand, which cancelled the NZ Enduro, I believe.
Yeah, hopefully this isn't a trend that continues. We want to see all those organisers and participants get to these races and events next year. What do you reckon, viewers at home? I'd love to hear your opinions on what we've said and what you think sucks and what you think is a good trend as well.
Yeah, what do you think's earned its reputation unfairly as a trend that sucks, but actually is delivering the goods?
Plenty of those.
Now, if you want to stick with trends, click down here to see a video of Doddy at Eurobike. Oil slick, viewers, beware, discretion advised.
And if you want to see me and Blake strap everything to our bikes, head over there for a bike packing video. Subscribe, give us a thumbs up.